branding and how to integrate personal branding and corporate branding to employer branding and why it's a good idea. We will also be recording for those who were not able to participate today. So I hope this is all good for you. So one moment and I will also start recording. And in the beginning, maybe to remind you that we would be really thankful if you let us know if anything happens during this 1 hour with the audio or video. So we know that everything is okay. And also be active. You are welcome to open your mics if you have any questions or write us to chat. And we, of course, are also really happy if you open your cameras and we can see that we're not here all alone talking, but can also see all of you.
And hello from my side as well. Super excited to be here and share with you our the way that we see employer advocacy and why we believe that personal branding is so important in this context. If we haven't met with you, I'm Olesja Sauer. I'm a business strategist that goes social media marketing, and I'm also an executive and NLP coach, and pretty much different things that I do are all united by my belief that we as individuals and as companies have unlimited potential. And if we really tap into that and do what make our eyes sparkle, operate from our zone of strengths and zone of genius, then not only we can be successful in our jobs, but also can inspire others to do the same. And also in respect of employer advocacy, this is one of the most important things that we tap into our own potential.
And my name is Evelyn Orr. I also have had a passion for branding, personal branding and employer branding for quite many years now. And with Olesja, we have been during the last already 5 years, we have been helping different organizations, startups, companies to develop brand ambassador programs and also to help achieve different goals related to those. We have also written a book. Our first book was about personal branding and also how to maybe help brand ambassadors to boost their personal brands. And in a while, we also talk why it's important. And at the moment, we are writing our second book, and this is then it concentrates more about employer branding, but during the past half year already, we have had once per month different webinars about employer branding, and those are also available in YouTube. If you're interested in past topics, then you are more than welcome to take a look, and all of those are compressed in 1 hour, and you can then also maybe have some inspiration about those themes as well. But today we tell you in 60 minutes why we think that employer branding, personal branding, and corporate branding should be seen, and it should be also integrated a little bit like a holistic process like a 360-degree process. And of course, you are welcome, more than welcome, to ask questions during the whole webinar, but we will also leave some time at the end. So if you have any comments or any experience with this yourself, then you're more than happy to then just let us know. But our approach is a little bit different, maybe in this way that we don't see separately employer branding, personal branding, and corporate branding, but we try to integrate them all so that it's quite usual with different companies in Estonia and also Nordics who we have dealt with, that there is HR department who is more responsible for employer branding. Then there is marketing and communication departments who is responsible for corporate branding, and then also different spokesperson, thought leaders, maybe CEOs and managers of different companies and organizations. Then they are creating their own personal brands. But to get the most out of it, it's best idea to integrate them all. So of course, you have to take into consideration all those different branding related topics, but also if you are dealing with corporate, personal or employer branding, then also both physical and digital visibility, and both the culture inside the company and also the external image. But of course, since quite many of you are related to HR, then the most important goal, of course, is to find those talented and right people to your team, but also to keep those ones who already are in your team happy, motivated, because there's quite many positive sides in addition to finding great talents, but also like how to be more productive and so on. So first we talk a little bit about personal branding, and then how to integrate it with the corporate and the employer branding.
A lot of companies, especially nowadays, when social media became a very important part of our life, would really want their employees to be active on social media, operating as passionate brand ambassadors. But in quite many cases, the focus is just on the company, not on the people and their personal brands, then those initiatives are not as successful as they could be, because people need their personal meaning, they need their personal why in order to start acting as employer advocates. And the reason for that is that social media is in its essence a place where we communicate with our friends, with our families, with people who know us. And there is a conflict of interest, quite often a conflict of interest which is unconscious. How do I represent my company? What would my friends and colleagues think about me? And how this will actually help me achieve my goals? So all of those questions need to be addressed by the company, if we want our employees to act as authentic thought leaders, actively talking about things that matter to them. Because nowadays, most of our employees have social media presence. There are a lot of discussions about whether companies can regulate the way that employees are using their social media, what they can post and what they cannot post. It becomes even more important if we have hybrid work solutions, and perhaps a person is working from the beach. So is it okay to post things that are not related to the job during the working hours? Well, we cannot, it doesn't matter how good our social media policy is, we cannot tell people how they would be using their social media. But we can and we should educate them on the way that brand image, both corporate image and their personal brand image, are being created from different posts and different parts of the puzzles and comments that they're sharing on social media. Because nowadays we are all connected on all social media accounts. If I know that you represent this company, I subconsciously immediately create the link that what are you saying, that you are also saying it on behalf of the company. And it doesn't matter whether you would be saying that those are your personal thoughts or not. So there are a lot of opportunities to actually engage our employees so that they would know exactly what to share and how to share, so that it would strengthen their personal brand, and by doing so, they would also strengthen the brand of the company. Because if we think about branding in general, then brands are created to make a human connection with the ideal target audience. But in reality, our faceless corporations and companies can never create this human connection the way that we as humans can connect to people who are like us. So people who know where they are going, so what are their personal goals and aspirations, and at the same time, if they understand the goals and ambitions of the company, they make this brand shine. They give a voice to the brand message. We can say that it gives life to this brand, and it does it in a real, authentic, and very diverse way, because all of people in the company would have their own personal deep values, would have their own interests and topics. And can you imagine if tens or hundreds of people in the company are talking about different things in their unique, authentic voice, but they are doing this in a way that it strengthens and supports the company's message. So we really need to align those two things, because without that, we can't create win-win situation, and only win-win situation would work long-term, especially in case of employer advocacy. So personal brand and possibility to develop a strong personal brand and thought leadership in your selected topic can be this missing link, and why that employees need to start talking about things that matter to them, start sharing employees' message. So, and then they would make this message really stand out, because in their audiences, in their virtual networks, they already connected to their people. They know what their audiences stand for. They have shared interests, shared hobbies, shared topics, and their authentic message would act like a magnet, which would attract people who resonate with the same values, with the same message, which will help to spread visibility of the company's message, but also would increase credibility of that message. But by doing that, the person who is acting as an employer advocate, as brand ambassador, he actually is building his or her own personal brand. And this understanding that what it is for me, how it will help me advance my career, whether in current company or in the future in some other company, or starting my own business, will help to overcome different fears that are present if we're talking about claiming the thought leader position, posting online, being visible, sharing our ideas, our thoughts. It will also help to identify the right topics to build an association with. It will also help to overcome times when we are too tired to be present on social media. We don't know what to post. So we can really work as inner motivation for people. And the majority of employees who would join the employee advocacy program, they would start building up on the experiences, they would start to gain momentum, they would start to gain confidence, and some people in your organization sooner or later will become thought leaders, not only in your company, not only for your customers, but also for the industry as a whole. And by doing so, they would inspire other people in the organization to also take a stand, to get on stage, either physical or virtual, and start sharing things that they are passionate about, that are meaningful to them. And this already in the process will attract other people who resonate with the vision of the company, the values of the company, and the message that they hear from employees. So in all of the cases, and especially in social media, we see that people don't trust corporate brands. They always think that there is a hidden agenda over there. But if a person, an employee who is, for example, is having the same position as a potential candidate for work, is sharing his stories from daily life, sharing his insights, and then showing the values in action, then this would have a totally different effect. So there is a very significant gap that we have to be aware of, and all of the employee advocacy programs have to address them, that it's not sufficient that people in the company are happy with their job and they are satisfied with the organization for them to start sharing company's message and start sharing and representing the company online. They also need to find personal meaning. And this personal meaning is always aligned with the personal values, topics and hobbies and passions that are important for this person. And it's one of the important things that really creates magic in the way that people find their voice, find things that spark their eyes, that they want to be talking about. And it also has to be aligned with personal goals of the person. So the more clear the personal branding goal is for the employees, the easier it is to adjust it to the company goals, to the ways that this particular person can help and strengthen corporate brand and also strengthen employer brand. So in this way, we give people in our organization understanding, meaning, and tools so that they can use their networks and grow their networks strategically so that they will be achieving their goals. And by doing so, our company would be getting more and more strong personal brands, which would reach further and further because different people have different audiences on social media. So it's not, one thing is helping people to gain awareness of why it is important for the company, why it should be important for them personally, but also about empowering people to really stand out. And if we're talking about personal branding, then one of the most important things that really help other people to resonate with the message is authenticity. And a lot of marketing people are talking about authenticity, but quite often authenticity is misunderstood, and we can't actually fake it. We either are authentic or we are not. And this finding authenticity in yourself is very closely related to the way that you see yourself, the way you understand yourself, and the way that you accept yourself just the way you are. Authenticity comes from knowing your meaning, your personal why, so what is important to you, understanding and pursuing things that are of interest to you that can further grow into your passions, and also being aware and really operating from your strengths zone. And the positive side effect of getting to know yourself on such level is that all of those three things directly contribute to our famous flow state, which can increase creativity, can increase productivity, learning, and focus, and directly contributes to people not only being more productive, but also more actively engaged in companies' activities, and more happy in general life. So the way that we see employee advocacy is not just a possibility to share company's message online, but it's also a possibility to help people realize their potential and maximize it, so that people would be really enjoying what they're doing. There are a lot of different studies on the question of employers' engagement. Out of them, perhaps the most known one is Gallup's research, which shows that 85% of people are actively disengaged from their work, and we see employee advocacy programs as a very specific, concrete way and quick way to actually change this equation. So we have seen different companies dealing with employee advocacy from different angles, but we really see the most effective results and quick results when personal brand is incorporated into employer advocacy, when it becomes a part of this full structure, because we always have to look at the different things that motivate us as individuals, both on a conscious and subconscious level. So we, in case of employee advocacy, quite often now we are focusing on behavioral results of the program. So we want people to share. We want people to be more effective. We want them to do their job with passion. But there are important steps that precede those actions. On one side, this understanding of a person and who he is as a person and also as an employee. There are rational points to this, whether they consider their job meaningful, whether they have enough autonomy, where they are satisfied with their teamwork, whether they have good possibilities for development, and in what state are their relations, and at the same time also emotional considerations. So whether they are passionate for the work or they are also passionate for the organization itself, whether they want to share and recommend the company, how loyal are they to the company, and then how they are feeling on a day-to-day basis. And only of those two points are really satisfied, then we can be talking about creating a habit of new behavior, which in many respects employee advocacy is. It's a new way that we operate. It's a new way that we present our work. It's a new way how we communicate with our customers, both existing customers and potential customers. But it's also a possibility to create meaningful connections on much deeper level, not only with your audience outside of your company, but also to get your colleagues and your bosses much better. So whatever the way of employee advocacy program has been launched in the company, personal brand really should be paid attention to and incorporated into the corporate branding.
So, and the main reason why we are talking so much about personal branding in addition to employer branding is to finding this magical win-win situation. So of course there have been already so many information about how to really engage people and how to really make them as thought leaders and stand out as brand ambassadors. But the way we see it and what we have experienced, that the most successful organizations and companies who really succeed in this is when they let people to find their own really egoistic reasons behind it. So of course they definitely love their job. They also may have really good understanding why they should support the employer brand of their organization, and maybe to find the best team, to work with the most amazing and productive people. But if they really see the benefit, how and why they should also create their own personal brands, then the best win-win solution has been found. And there also have been many fears, but we have heard during the past years from different managers and also from HR people, that if we now educate our brand ambassadors in a way that we help them to create their personal brand and be thought leaders of this field, then what if they leave our company or organization, or what if they get better offer because they are so visible. Of course, this is a threat, but I think that having the best team who is visible, who really wants to give 100%, this is the most important thing. And nowadays, people are not maybe in the company 10, 20 or 30 years as it might be maybe 20 years ago. But to get the most out of this relationship during what they are involved, then I think the best way is to find this win-win opportunity for both sides. So I see also one comment in the chat. Yes, and this is also related to the fear that I was talking to. Yes, and this is something that we also see every day. This fear that what then if employees personal brands grow and grow and grow, but actually they boost your organization and also the employer brand, and the more really strong ambassadors you have, the more powerful is also your organization. And if we see different studies, what people really value, they value the possibility to grow, to develop, to learn new things, to know more about themselves. So all these things actually are also related to their personal brands. The more they know what they really want, then also we see that the engagement, also their job satisfaction grows. So I think that of course we can live in the fear and try not to show off our amazing thought leaders. But if we have done analysis for different organizations, then even if a company has a really strong digital and also physical brand, then if this company engages also the employees, then it's 100 times more visible and powerful, and it also gives this this amazing personal touch to those who want to join the team, and also it also engages all the people who already work there. So yes, I definitely suggest to see over this fear, but this is definitely something that should be talked with different management level, also with the leaders, with the board members, so that everybody knows, and it's not like a big elephant in the room that nobody don't want to talk about. But from the chat, now I see that there is already one employer branding consultant here, but I would be really happy if also other people who have joined today maybe write to the chat that what is the main thing that you do daily. Is it related to HR? Is it related to marketing, communication, maybe management level? Then we also know how to integrate this second topic, which is related to corporate branding. And why we decided to talk today also about the corporate branding, because usually when we meet people from HR department and also from marketing department, then we see that developing this brand ambassador programs and dealing with employer branding, it's not actually a really easy task, because it requires from HR people really a lot of knowledge about different channels, about branding, about concept, about strategy. So these are actually topics that marketing people maybe study for years, but quite often HR people are asked to just magically deal with employer branding and use all these knowledge, what's actually not so easy maybe to manage at first. So I see there are already few comments. Yes, I see that most of you are from HR, and so you can also let us know how have you managed to deal everything, because there's so much knowledge in digital marketing in different fields that needs to that you needs to know before you are dealing with the employer branding. But of course, the magic word is Pareto, that always helps. So it is mainly finding those 20% of tasks that can create you 80% of the results. So also in marketing, when you see that your goal, is it then the main goal to find those talents or to retain them or to create this engaging culture? Each and every one of you definitely have different goals, but to maybe first think how can you really achieve it? If you can't do like all the tasks that maybe usually marketing people do, then which are those ones that you can do and still manage and still be able to achieve it? So what is branding actually? We have talked about employer branding for several during several webinars, but branding actually consists of so many different things, but one of the most important, of course, is also related to the team, and branding is related also to a promise. So it's in one hand this amazing visible image of your organization or a company, but on the other hand, it also has to be related to the culture. So authenticity here is also the most important part, because if there is a mismatch in this both sides, for example, if there's really amazing visible image, but the company culture is not so great, that people don't feel it, or if the most cases we see day to day is that there's really amazing corporate that there is really amazing culture inside the company, but it's really hard to maybe see it outside. So this is also something that depending on your company or organization, definitely bigger companies have also marketing team that can help you, but smaller ones, then you have to deal with it or on your own. But the most important then to maybe analyze if this promise, if this expectations that is related to different relationships, stories, memories from customers, from potential talents for your employees, if they match or if they don't. And this is the first thing that really should be actually then a little bit think through how to fix it. because brand really is related to values, to feelings, to identity and stories, this unique value proposition, culture, experience, and the most important maybe is this distinction. So what makes your team, your company, your organization different? It doesn't have to be and it can't be the same as everyone in your field, but it has to be something different, and you have to figure it out what it is, what makes your culture a little bit different, which are the right people that really fit to your team. And of course, branding has a financial label as well. So this is the reason why it's so important. In one hand, it attracts the right people to your team, but also on the other hand, it saves costs. So there has been definitely also maybe in your company, if you analyze the recruiting cost, but also employer branding helps so much also corporate branding in this way that it helps to reduce also marketing costs, because you are more visible, because people know so much about you more. So this is also something that helps to reduce different costs, but it also helps to develop and to boost productivity. And how does this work? Because the happier and the more satisfied people are, all the researchers show that the more productive they also are. And we have seen really different numbers, but this is also related to the question what we had in the chat. Should we be really afraid that if we boost personal brands of each and every individual employee, then maybe they will leave? But if we boost their personal brands, they feel more confident, they want to be thought leaders in their field, and they see more meaning in their work, then actually the productivity grows. And even if you lose 2, maybe 4 people, then the productivity has grown so much, and you also gain so many people through it, that it's definitely worth doing. So nowadays, of course, everyone is influencer, but not everybody has to have a really wide influence. But it's important to see what's the range of your influence, or the circle of your influence. For some brand ambassadors, maybe it's their own team, maybe it's their own company, but of course there are also those who want to be thought leaders of their field. Maybe they want to maybe they have even more ambitions, and then it's really amazing if you support them. And you don't have to be internationally known to be a really amazing brand ambassador, but even if you have influence in your team, in your company, then it helps also to boost the inner culture and all related to this. And what's also important to think about when you are maybe dealing with employer branding, to choose the right channels. And this is also something, if you have marketing or branding department in your company or organization, to go through all these channels also with them, to link the messages and see what else is there to do. Because of course we are talking so much about social media because it's the easiest way to reach people nowadays, but of course there are so many other possibilities, like growing the networks, or maybe being part of different events, or doing cross marketing marketing or attending different podcasts or seminars. So actually there are many options, but what's again related to this Pareto principle is finding the right channels, because you don't have the time or resources or energy to be active in all the channels. Then maybe it's a good idea to analyze a little bit what are the right channels for you. For example, if in context of sales, marketing and branding, your company is really visible in different events, then maybe you see that in the employer branding aspect, the most important still is social media, but maybe also some articles or something else. So you have to analyze a little bit in relations to these different resources, which are the right channels for you. And of course, branding is a marathon, so it takes time, the same way as employer branding, and there should be taken many small steps in order to succeed. So in really quick sum up about employer branding, personal branding, and also corporate branding, why should those three be related and how they can help if they are integrated. So Olesja will wrap up the theme.
Yes, we actually just today had another employee advocacy webinar with one of the biggest Scandinavian telecom countries, and the way that different companies approach employee advocacy depends quite a lot on whether the solution is meant as an elite group of brand ambassadors, or there is an ultimate goal of empowering all or majority of the employees to be knowledgeable about the possibilities of representing the company, of using company as a platform to build a personal brand. And if we're looking at the global trends, then more and more companies who started from just a handful of people acting as brand ambassadors, they're now moving into the direction that employee advocacy is becoming a part of culture. So every person who joins the company already gets the first inspirational training to give the understanding of the topic to help people find the links, the personal links, and then different people can take different parts on engaging inside of employee advocacy programs. We have done programs which are just one-time programs, sort of inspirational webinars. We have also done longer programs, and we have, based on the feedback that we received from the participants and the organizers from the company side, but also from our own observations of what we see and how the changes are happening in the company, is that, as Evelyn said, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And we can say that brand ambassadors in many ways like small babies who are just learning to walk. And it is a role of the company, especially the role of human resources department, to help and support on this journey. And people would need understanding, they would need knowledge, they would need tools and resources, but they would also need somebody holding their hand and helping to come up with ideas and finding inspiration, but also perhaps at some point pushing them from behind and reminding them to regain the consistency again. All of the programs should start with a clear strategy and understanding of where the company is at the moment and where do they want to get with the employer advocacy. What should be specific program plan, the launch and the following trainings, what type of trainings would the employees need? Company also needs to have a toolbox for people to use it, in their role as brand ambassador. And the better the toolbox is, the easier it is for people to start acting as brand ambassadors. And quite often companies have an inspirational webinar training for all of the employees with the goal to identify people who are interested in this topic more, who are already ready or interested enough to start developing their personal brand and acting as brand ambassadors, and then having a pilot program for small group of people to understand the actual needs, and then scaling to the full organization. And once the program is launched, it's very important that there is continuity in respect that there are meetings at least once a quarter, ideally combined with some additional trainings, so that people would continue educating themselves, but also if they have fallen from this train in the meantime, they would have always the possibility to come back. And this ongoing continuous training is one of the things that employees themselves always point out, that they need it, they need to grow, they need to develop, and they need to feel that they are supported. And it's also important in the respect that quite often just a handful of employees, well, regularly 20-25% of the ones who are participating in the employee advocacy programs would start immediately acting as brand ambassadors, like visible brand ambassadors, sharing and posting on social media. But the company needs to notice them. The company needs to support them. The company needs to celebrate their successes, however small those successes are, and share those successes with other people, because this example from the colleague whom you personally know would act as a catalyst for other people as well to start making their own first steps. And the more people would be active, the more it would actually create a snowball effect, that it becomes part of a culture, it becomes a norm in organization. And nowadays, companies who are really embrace employee advocacy, they see tremendous, very quickly, growth and visibility and then credibility. So as all development programs, it is a continuous process, and we're looking at different things that we can teach our employees, and we have to look at 3 different parts. We have to give them understanding of what it is and how to do that. we also need to give people toolboxes and teach them how to practically do things, how to create a post, how to create with impact, how to share with impact, how to optimize your LinkedIn profile, how to grow your network, and etc., etc. At the same time, we also need to provide people deep dive self-discovery sessions so that they would understand themselves better and better, that they would understand what they are capable of, what is holding them behind, what are their limiting beliefs, and addressing those. So we really see it as a combination of different things, which as a result creates a very big impact in marketing terms. But if from the very beginning the company looks at it as much more than just a possibility to get people share their company news without giving any meaning to that, then the more exponential can be the growth, and the more impactful can be those programs, both for the company and the employees. So a good place now to ask where you are on your journey of employee advocacy.
But also we have received one question in the chat about the toolbox. So this is also one 100% separate theme that we have had already one webinar about, but those tools actually depend on your organization or company. So how big is your team, and what's most practical for you. So what we have seen that smaller companies, some of them use even Messenger or their internal channels or Slack. The most important thing is to keep this community, to share with them your news, your content, but also to inspire them how to share this content with impact, with their maybe small details, with their thoughts, not just to be a sharing machine, but to really add value and to find this value. And of course there are practical tools as Slack or some other platforms, but even more important than the tools is this community, that you build up the community, you have consistent communication with this community, you have regular internal meetings, you share with them ideas, tricks, hacks, maybe have once per month or once in quarter some inspirational seminar about how to share or which are the best practices, or to help them to really create from them really amazing brand ambassadors. So, and another question.
Yes, we have a question about managing negative feedback and contents related with personal employees branding towards the organization. I think that it's well, one important thing is that negative comments would never be a part of personal branding if it's done consciously. All of the negative comments regarding whatever topics, including and moreover, the employer are in most cases are done from the fact that people don't understand the influence of their comments. people still quite often think that their job is 9 to 5, respective what it is in real life, and social media is considered as part of personal time. And this misunderstanding of the way that people in our networks creates an impression of us, an impression of the company is one of the biggest perhaps problems that need to be addressed as a foundation. I think this is one of the most popular feedback responses that we get from employees. What is the first step that you would do after this training? The answer: I would go into my social media and I will have a critical look at what I have been posting there and how would people, potential customers, potential partners, or existing partners would perceive that. If we're looking at and we also have to think about different channels. So in case of LinkedIn, where the link to the organization is direct, because the company brand is the brand of the employees. Every person who is mentioning that they work for the company, they already create a brand. People would not share negative comments, but if we're talking about Facebook or Instagram, then pretty often, people don't get this understanding that what they are doing is visible to the organization and visible to the rest of the audience, and we are all so connected that if we don't understand the way that people perceive us and our brand, it can be very harmful. But people, if they work for the organization in general, they don't want to hurt the company. They just act quite often out of not being aware. Saying that, employee advocacy is not a way to fix the company culture. It can definitely help improve company culture, but we would have to start from the very beginning. So we would have to look into the company culture, we would have to make it work, and then people would want to share their experiences of the culture, of the brand themselves. They wouldn't have to force them, and they wouldn't be sharing their negative feedback. So I think, I hope that I answered your question.
So if there's some additional questions, then you're more than welcome to write or open your mic. But if there's not, then we are really thankful that you have been present during this afternoon, and I hope you got some new ideas, and was really great hearing your questions, and thank you for being active. So this is actually before the summer or last webinar, but we will continue with them maybe in the autumn. So thank you for joining us, and hopefully see you again.
Thank you.